This wedding ceremony took place as a milestone to end the long war, but everything did not go smoothly. When the bridegroom and the bride came out, the orb of chaos called out to the demon lord. The blonde knew this and jumped up to stop her, but no one believed her until the demon lord was fully present. The two clan masters brought out their holy seals. With it, she is quite assured that she can chase the demon lord, but only one sword lord kills two people who run the family. The marriage also fell apart since then, the war never ended. This blonde Silica shows currently on the way to the coalition faction to make a contract with a lord. She didn't like it at all because the name was too hot. While walking, a group of soldiers stopped. Attacking magicians without a contract is illegal, but they don't care. Suddenly at this time, a guy rushed over. He introduced himself as Theo and he was dissatisfied with the scene of the bandits bullying others like this. Theo brought out his holy crest, and Silica and his rider recognized him as the lord of a certain region. It's a bit weak, but it certainly has potential. She stepped back to let Theo speak for himself, Theo attacking the bandits. It only takes a few sword strokes to scare them away. Silica looked at all the swordsmanship that seemed a bit immature but still had potential for growth. Theo's holy seal was not given by anyone, he created it himself with an ideal of eliminating demons. Theo knows that he is very weak. If he follows other lords, he will be much stronger. However, with the attitude of a leader, Theo never accepts that. Silica was excited that she met the right person to meet. Silica summons a demon. Theo's holy seal is too weak right now. If he could kill it and absorb its power, he would be on par with the knights. Theo was a little scared, but the monster that rushed at him still had to fight. It wasn't until he killed it, and now Theo had reached the rank of a knight who could make contracts with mages. She knelt down to swear allegiance to Theo. At the castle, the lord sent someone to attack Silica. He heard that another lord had come to ask him to hand over the city and the holy seal. Silica's group entered, and he ordered the magicians under him to chase them away. He refused immediately, breaking the treaty himself. From now on he was no longer his mage. The angry lord drew his sword and charged. Brother Irvin put the knife to his neck, now handing over the holy seal. He must follow to save his life. Theo has a second holy seal and the entire territory of this guy. She cheerfully repeated what Theo wished she would bring him to that world. Theo was bored and left waiting for him to die by then. Silica confidently patted her chest and declared that even if she was here, even death could not take Theo. Episode 2. The other lords had also heard that Lord Theo was crowned king. On the eve of the war, there was suddenly another piece of land in their sights. They were very confident that they could defeat Theo. Seeing the land he owns was so large that Theo also held his breath. From now on you have the right to run here. Theo wants to reduce taxes for the people, but Silica won't let them. They need the treasury to run more things. She and Irvin discussed. They knew other lords were aiming, and Irvin suggested hiring mercenaries. Silica doesn't like this. If she needs to, she will ask a friend to help. As soon as Irvin left, she immediately summoned a king cat. She asked him to convey the word to her friend with a handsome reward. Silica is busy with work, and Theo doesn't know what to do. He just wanted to help his homeland, not to compete for power. At first Silica had no intention of following anyone. But she felt that Theo's ideas were very similar to the legendary hero of the past, so she followed him. The other lord has prepared his army, using all the money to hire soldiers. Knowing that the opponent also had a mage, he also brought the mage Moreka with him. The enemy has arrived. Theo was about to go down to fight, but Silica kept him. She heard her friend's hooves, and now she was certain of victory. Her friend Aisha used to be her classmate, but not a magician, but a knight. As soon as she got there, Aisha ran to hug her friend. Seeing Silica reverently to Theo, the shy girl walked in and asked back and forth. She didn't care why Silica made a contract with Theo, but if she dared to use it, she would kill him first. They all prepared to confront the other group, each with a wing split to attack. Silica did not see the enemy mage anywhere. She ran towards the left flank to fight the soldiers. Suddenly she was blown away. Now Moreka appeared. He stealthily aimed at her from the beginning. Silica did not surrender but continued to fight him. On Aisha's side, she had found a leader, defeated him, and she would come to help Silica. And Irvin was slaughtering the enemy. The lord saw this and immediately brought up a big guy. He was fully armed, and Irvin threw an impenetrable knife. He rushed to attack. Irvin let him see life with one eye. Running out of things to play with, the lord must confront him. As for Silica, she was struggling with that magician. Theo ran over. He couldn't sit back and watch others fight for him. Due to the exhaustion of fighting with Silica, the mage was defeated shortly after. The Lord was about to attack Irvin when Theo brought the magician. He sneered at how Lord Lassen would surrender for him. The Lord surrendered shortly after. They promised to return the Holy Seal to Theo. He doesn't want to be king, sees potential in Theo. If he follows him, he doesn't have to fear other lords anymore. Episode 3. Silica must welcome the arrival of the church, who want to help Theo in his quest to defeat the devil. Silica chased them away, hearing that they were deliberately taking the holy seals away from the cults. However, Theo thought otherwise. He opened the door for them to come in. The whole palace held a party, and Theo and the others sat in a corner of the next strategic table. They must switch to the allies if they want to continue the conquest. This requires the consent of the other viscounts. Silica tasked Mr. Morica to negotiate with them. As for the part of the Lord Theo, he wishes to save his town. Currently there is under the control of a viscount. In order to defeat him, Theo must strengthen his position. Now that he was a baron, he had to name his family. Silica had a name for him right away, after a hero who almost united the continent before. She went to see the sorcerer Varto. He doesn't doubt her loyalty, but Theo as a lord must let him make his own decisions. Silica felt it was right to go to Theo. At this moment Mr. Irvin ran to the newspaper outside the town. The coal furnace suddenly exploded. The boss is badly burned. Silica rushes to heal. A demon appeared from the fire. Theo did not hesitate to attack it, but ordinary weapons could not reach him. The priestess had just arrived in Prisca to take on the task of healing her master, and Silica went to cast a spell to defeat the demon. She extinguished it and the demon exploded. The next morning the town was all scattered. Silica woke up and ran to find Theo. He was still dealing with the rubble after yesterday's fire. People who have too many wounds, they come back to heal together. Silica was grateful that Theo protected her, and now she felt she was right to follow him. Soon she would make his wish come true. Mr. Morica's return to the negotiations failed. That king thinks the whole land is his. They will settle on the battlefield. Silica hurriedly made an alliance with the other lords to prepare for battle. However, no one came to their aid. Only the civilians saved by Theo came. They know the danger but are willing to give their lives to Theo. He took out his patriotic flag ready to fight. The next morning the whole army fought, causing King Savas to bring out his elite soldiers. But he miscalculated one step. The lords allied with Theo came to defeat him after learning his true plot. The name Savas ran away from his possessions, and Theo won in this case. Next Silica went to see Count Marine. She was in charge of the treaty allies, as Silica's letter made it very clear. They want to conquer other lands with Marina. Silica swears allegiance to Marina. She already knew what Silica was thinking, but this was a big deal she needed time to think about. Episode 4. Earl Marine desperately wants to join Theo's allies, but Silica's adoptive father doesn't think so. If they now agreed to let Baron Theo join, the other lords would surely have the same idea. Marine repeated that if they did, they would have to drive out Baron Theo. He summoned Silica, asking her and Baron Theo to return the land to King Savas. Silica refused and went to see another viscount in the hope that he would protect them. But her condition was too small. He didn't even come out to meet her, but just let his subordinates go out. King Savas will lead his troops here soon. The number is definitely very large. If they hit it directly, they will have to play cards. This time he brought in completely different troops. Bows and arrows could not do anything to them. Weapons were also much more terrible. Feeling unwell, Asha took everyone back. She attacked alone, only to be seriously injured. At this time the nun has just arrived. She here does not allow anyone to die. Silica continued with her plan, luring the soldiers into the city and attacking them. She heard that Lord Lassen's group and Brother Irvin had to withdraw without worry. Lord Lassen led them down a narrow path, and the Savas couldn't even retreat. He took his sword to attack Lassen and then died instantly. Baron Theo won, and all the troops they captured were handed over to Lord Lassen by Silica. What they need to do now is negotiate an armistice. Theo will give up all his titles. But what Silica is aiming for here is fame. She will let Lord Lassen work independently. One day Theo will come back. She went to negotiate again, failed. Her adoptive father wanted the armistice to be Theo's life. This condition was unacceptable. They were forced to fight. On Earl Marine's side she brought a lot of soldiers. Silica's adoptive father was afraid that Count Velat would come to Silica's aid even though he refused. However, Count Marine was not afraid. She directly brought the entire army to Baron Theo. Looking at this scene of the elite army, Silica suddenly realized something. At this moment Count Vilat led his army to attack. The visible save made Silica also surprised. Finally the Marines had to retreat. They were saved from the crisis thanks to Count Vilat. However, Silica still did not fully trust him. Vilat stepped forward and stated that he did not expect Theo to be under him, however he needed Silica to be his mage. Theo will be staying here to manage the next land. Theo immediately refused, wanting to be a knight for Count Vilat. Hearing this, the Earl also understood that Theo did not want to give up Silica. From now on he will be the Earl's knight, Theo leaving everything to Lord Lassen to manage. One day he will return. Lord Lassen accepts these with absolute loyalty. Episode 5, at the palace of Count Vilat, Theo has arrived. The Earl has nothing to do with Theo, just asking him to defend the castle when he's out. Silica got acquainted with the sorceresses in the castle. This red-haired girl doesn't like Silica at all. She reminds us that there's going to be a very important party tonight. Prince Milza will be passing through here. He is an extremely warlike person, so if something goes wrong, war is certain. That evening Milza arrived. As someone with ambition he could submit to the Earl, but the Count didn't want to be king, he would take the Earl's holy seal. Milza turned to look after him and wondered. Listening to Count Milza's story, it was unbelievable that someone as ambitious as Lord Lassen would give up his ambition to obey Theo. However, Theo is not ambitious, so he is not interested in him. Sometime after Silica was explaining the war with demons a few years ago to Theo, the White Witch called them in. She is the elder of all the witches here. She assigns Theo and Silica the mission to the dark forest inhabited by vampires. There is information that the werewolves are heading there, and there is a possibility that war will happen. In the forest, the emperor of the Wolf clan led his army to reclaim his daughter because they were captured by Yena. She is taking their child, so only the queen can go, and everyone has to stay and wait. At this time Theo and Silica just arrived. They got angry and chased them away. The vampire king offered his body to let them in. Under oath on the honor of Count Vilat will do the best he can. The current wolf queen is being tormented by Yena. Followed Silica to meet the vampire king. He didn't care what Yena did. The only thing he wanted was to remove all the holy seals. If he left it like this, sooner or later he would get in trouble. Theo was about to draw his sword and cut it, but he didn't want to fight. Directly pointing to where Yena was tormenting the queen and then disappeared, the Wolf King ran out of non-renewable energy. Following Silica down to stop her, she sent 2 demons to attack them. Yena fired a magic ball. Even Silica couldn't block it, but how the hell Theo could cut it away? Taking this opportunity, the Wolf King rose to save his 2 children. Before she was exhausted, she returned Yena's scar, and she immediately ran away injured. Only then did the Wolf King take his last breath, and Theo and Silica brought her body back to the tribe. Thanks to this incident, the werewolves swore allegiance to them. Theo feels that he is still very weak. He is determined to be stronger. Irvin brought the 2 girls in. From today they will be Theo's maids, but it looks like these 2 girls just want to hunt demons. Episode 6, after all, Count Vilat's reputation is on the rise. The witch Marganet was delighted, but the Earl didn't care. He asked what day her birthday was. Silica was studying magic at the moment when Marganet ruined the atmosphere. She went to see the Count, who turned out to be Marganet's 25th birthday coming up. This means that the contract of the 2 people is about to expire, although the Earl is very lady, but cannot break the convention because of that. He asked her to prepare a grand party, then ordered Silica and Theo to be present at the party. The Viscount Theo wanted to defeat would also be present. When the ceremony took place, Sister Marganet approached and gently stroked Silica's cheek. Although she was not a witch contracted with Lord Vilat, she still trusted him to leave him in Silica's care. Then she danced with the Count. The dance was so great that Theo was also inspired. He pulled Silica in and kept stepping on her feet. After dancing, Melza calls Theo out for a sword fight. Theo's fighting style is defensive and Melza's is offensive. He constantly provokes Theo. If he can't destroy the enemy, he will never be able to protect his teammates. The battle ended with an overwhelming victory for Mr. Melza. He angrily broke down the pillar of fire. Theo was so weak that the Earl respected him so much. His dream is that one day when the Emperor's seal returns, he will be an effective hand for Lord Vilat. If Theo didn't want to die, he had to be stronger. Melza left Silica to dare to run in. Theo is still too weak, but she doesn't see Theo's path as wrong. You are not alone. Silica will accompany you. And now Marganet is sitting with the Count. The Count did not want to leave Marganet. She had helped him a lot in the past time. He loved Margaret very much, and the Count hoped that she would find true happiness indeed. They hugged each other goodbye for the last time. Margaret burst into tears. The next day everyone focused on preparing for the meeting of the earls. Margaret is no longer working, so everything is planned by Silica. During this meeting, they will bring back some castles as souvenirs. Many other lords refused to submit, they closed the door and entrenched. In order to proceed further, they must obtain all the holy seals and land in this area. Following along with Silica, who received a quest to destroy a city, Melza saw that she also did something useful. However, he did not need an army, and entered the lord's castle alone. Feeling that the situation was not negotiable, the ignorant lord even tried to kill Melza. At this time, a young soldier spoke up to stop him. Melza loved this sentence so much that he was the only one left alive. In a few days the army will come here, he will have to tell the whole story. Melza left. He took this castle very quickly, and I don't know how Theo will take it.